Welcome back, Metalheads, to another edition of the Friday 13th YouTube channel. I'd like to thank everybody who's subscribed so far, and today I've got a fantastic interview for you with German power metal band Orden Ogan. Now, I've just interviewed the singer Seeb. Seeb, I'd like to thank you for doing this interview. The band are about to release their new album, which is an absolutely fantastic album. The album's called The Order of Fear. Now, please subscribe to the channel, folks. Please leave comments and thumbs up. So thanks for watching. Enjoy the interview, folks. More interviews coming soon. Stay metalheads.
Hello,
Hey, Zeeb, how are you doing? Good morning.
I'm doing good morning. I'm doing great. I'm a little tired because we were on the show yesterday, and so we got into bed like very late, and yeah, now I'm still struggling with my words. So
So where did you
don't
play? Where did you play last night? Who did you play? Who supported you?
no, actually we were supporting Doro.
Oh, awesome! Congratulations. So, welcome to our Friday the 13th YouTube channel. Zeeb, we're talking to Zeeb from Orden Ogan. So, the last time we did an interview was in 2012.
2012. All right.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
for the album To the End. That was the last time we did an
Yes.
interview. So it's been a
Time
long
flies.
time coming. So I'm going to ask you some warm-up questions first, Steve. As a guitarist and singer, who inspired you to play guitar and vocals? Who's your influences?
What inspired me to play guitar? I don't think that there was actually somebody who inspired me to play guitar. It was more like that I found an old acoustic guitar in the closet of my grandma, and I put it out and started to make some weird noises on it, and I was like, okay, I would really like to know how this thing works. And I also have to say that I think I just said that in the other interview. I do think there is a difference between a musician and somebody who plays an instrument. Because like if you take our drummer Dirk, for example, if you sit him down at the table, it will take like 10 seconds until he starts playing the drums on his legs, because there's just something going on all the time. And it's basically the same for me. I would even go so far to say it's like some sort of mental disorder or something, because it's just music in your head all the time. And so that was very clear, like very early on in my life, that there's something going wrong and I have to do something about it. And yeah, to make music, you know. So there was actually nobody who really inspired me. I was not like the oh, that James Hetfield looks cool with the guitar, I want to do that. It was more like finding the guitar, picking it up, and be like, okay, I really want to know how this works, and getting some yeah, getting a teacher and getting taught how it works. And about the singer thing, yeah, well, man, I wished I never would have had to do this because it was just in the beginning. There was just nobody who could sing, so it was like, okay, maybe I have to do it myself. And my dad was a singer, and my grandfather was a singer as well. Um, so, but the very early days were really terrible. I never thought I was a singer. To this day, I'm just being like, okay, I'm just the guy who has to do the vocals, but I don't consider myself being a singer, a
Okay, then.
proper singer.
All right. So, who inspired you? Who's your favorite guitarists and singers? Do you have any favorite singers or guitarists?
I depends on which area of making music you really look closely. I think if you look at like rhythm guitar players, James Hetfield is the one. So he's, to my mind, is the best. I mean, they're like isolated guitar tracks from him recording Master of Puppets and everything. And this is, I mean, as a studio producer myself, I know how this sounds if people sit down and try to play guitar and play a riff like really tight and everything. And he was out of this world back then. He was like really, I think he's one of the best guys there. Like when it comes to like really nailing a riff. Um, as for singers, we've just discussed this a little while ago. Um, to this day, I still think Eric Adams is the best singer in metal.
Well, okay. Is there a reason why?
I just think like uh, the I mean, is technically very good, and just the way his voice sounds. I mean, maybe it's just the way his body was constructed, you know. But like I said, I'm struggling with my words because I didn't get enough sleep. So, but I think you know what I want to say.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just maybe he was just grown this way.
Oh, interesting. So, what was your first band that you actually was in before Orden Organ formed?
I think my first band was Orden Ogan,
Okay,
and yeah, but there's a lot of misconception about this in the internet. So we actually count the history of Orden Ogan as you know the band today from 2008 when the Vale record was released. But we started like buying instruments and like being pupils and still hanging out at a rehearsal space in the cellar of our back then drummer, like when we were 16 years old. But that was, like I said, was pupils trying to learn the instruments. And we also played a few gigs, like in pubs, actually quite a lot of gigs over the years. Um, but that was just unprofessional band that was just trying to make music. I mean, we didn't even have shirts until 2006 or something, you know? Like we never thought that anybody would wear a shirt with our name on it. It was just we just wanted to play in front of people. And yeah, so we count that from 2008 on. Was that the answer to the question? What was the question?
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, the name Orden Organ. God, fucking hell, Orden Morgan. Yeah, it's a fucking name and a half to say. What does it mean?
It's super funny because the Germans they always try to pronounce Orden. The right way to pronounce this is Orden Ogan.
Right.
Um, the Germans always try to say it in an English way, so or American way. They say Orden Ogan, and the Americans always say Orden Ogan. You know, so
Okay.
this is actually more than it's supposed to sound like. It actually means the order of fear. Orden is the German word for an religious order.
Right.
Ogan is Old Celtic for fear, so it's an artificial made up name if you want so. Um, but yeah, in the early years, I was like, oh man, I wish we've never picked this name because it's difficult for people to remember. But then on the other hand, once you got it, it will stay with you. And these days, I've accepted my fate. It's nothing we can do about it anymore.
I think it sounds better when you're drunk.
Oh no, God.
Yeah, you probably get the words right. Okay, then.
Yeah,
So I mean, my next question for you is, how would you describe your music? Would you say it's European power metal, folk power metal? There's that many categories now. Does it kind of piss you off?
no, 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 no. People have to put something into categories to tell other people what this or that is supposed to sound like. I wouldn't. I mean, we're often referred to as a power metal band. I don't think we are a power metal band because when I think of power metal, I think about something like Halloween or Freedom Call or something. You know, like this more happy, forward, fast stuff. That is what I would think is power metal. Um, we've got power metal elements. We've got a lot of heavy metal elements. Um, I would actually like these days we refer to Orden Ogan as being a dark power metal band, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like in that case, we're more or less, I think, the hardest band out there. Like for that type of music. Like if you put the choirs away and the harmony vocals away, there are a lot of very, very hard riffs going on. So yeah, let's say we're the band who brings the heavy metal back to power metal.
I mean, there's different types of power metal. American power metal is completely different to the European. You have bands like
Yes.
Hellstar and Omen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, of course, of course. But that's that is very different. That's but that has got nothing to do with what we do, of course.
Yeah. Okay, then. So my next question is, what guitars do you actually play for people that are interested in playing guitar? What's your brand? Are you sponsored? Do you get endorsed?
Yeah, I mean, in Orden Ogan, I used to be the guitar player. I broke my thumb in 2019, so since then I'm just the singer. Because I mean, it always felt effortless for me to play guitar and sing at the same time. But once we had to do that, everyone was like, "Oh man, your vocal performance still improved like 150%. We should keep it that way." So I still play guitar in the studio, and also I play guitar in Angus Mac 6, my other project. Um, and Yeah, I mean, in Orden Ogan, everybody these days plays ESP guitars. We've got these ESP arrows and they are amazing. In the studios, I actually played the James Hetfield signature, the ESP. What is it called? Uh,
Destroyer.
no, it's I think it's Snakebite. This super ugly thing with a very ugly, ugly body shape. But it sounds amazing. You know, it's like for rhythm guitars, this is the best guitar I ever had in the studio. And with Angus McSix, Talia and me, we both also play ESP guitars. So it's also ESP arrows.
Right. I remember seeing you at Bloodstock a couple of years ago. I think you had your arm and pop that day.
Yes. That was the beginning of that. Yeah. I broke my thumb and then we had to do something about it. And yeah, once I was running around just with a microphone, everyone was like, me included. I was like, okay, it feels just way more relaxed because you always have to stand in front of the mic stand and everything, and you just on the spot. Whereas like with a microphone, just in one hand, you can just run around and have a lot more interaction with people and everything. So it just felt better at
Yeah,
that point.
it's kind of weird
And
that you mentioned that your hand was in a pot because I saw Metallica back in 1986 on the Master of Puppets tour, and James had his arm in a pot because he had a skateboarding accident. So you and him are kind of related.
yeah.
So I mean, Patrick, is he the only guitarist in the band now alive, or do you actually have a session guitarist live to help him
No,
out?
no. We've got a full new lineup. I mean, back then it was like that Niels, or back then bass player Niels, he switched from bass to guitar because he's actually an amazing guitar player, and he was wrong on the bass in the first place, but he really wanted to be in that band. So since we're two guys playing guitar, um, he just had the chance to pick up the bass, and that of course then he knew his time was come or had come, and I'm actually happy that he's playing guitar because he plays the best solos ever. I think the solos of Niels are just amazing. And so back then we had to find a bass player, and back then, our friends Xandria, they were basically dormant, and the bass player back then, bass player of Xandria, Stephen Wussow, he's a very nice guy. We've been on the tour with him. We toured on the Powerwolf tour together, I think in 2015. And he's an absolute beast on stage, great bass player, super nice guy, and that was the only and obvious choice for us. Like when we were like, who could be our bass player? Everyone like instantly said Steven. So there's no doubt about it. So he had to be in the band. And when I gave him the call, he was like, "I'm not even surprised and nothing. It's just like it has to be this way." So yeah, I go in. And there was one more lineup change. That was our longtime guitar player Toby. Who had to leave the band for personal reasons in 2021 as well. So we were looking for another guitar player then, and luckily found our new guitar player Patrick, who is also one of the greatest guys you can imagine, and a very good guitar player. So I think at this point, Orden Ogan is the lineup is the best we've ever had. So I think we sound the best we ever did.
Right then. So my next question is: of all the past albums you've done, which is your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
The Order of Fear.
No, you can't include that one. You've got to say the early one.
If I cannot include that one, so spot number 2 will go to. No, I really can't pick one.
Okay.
The thing with Orden Ogan is we always did the best that we could at that time, and we always worked as long as we could on the record to make it the best that we could at the time. And so there are different phases, you know. Like I know that I wouldn't write a record than Vale or Easton Hope again, because especially Easton Hope is like even more like a progressive record. The title track has 6 minutes something and 40 different parts in it, and also a lot of key changes and also meter changes and everything. So it's really complicated. And we know that we can do that, so we don't need to do that anymore. So I think the beauty really lies these days in writing short songs and like coming to the like trying to say or say what you want to say in the best possible and quickest way. So that is the real beauty for songwriting for me these days. So you really can compare. You cannot compare a record like Easton Hope to Gunmen. I think Gunmen was the record at the moment that had like the most commercial success so far. Then you have to say Final Days was released like straight into the pandemic, so maybe that doesn't really count as well because there everything was wrong and we had to cancel like I don't know like 180 shows or something. So I can really pick one. If I had to pick one, it might be To the End, maybe.
Right. Okay. Then.
To the end, Gunmen, Final Days.
Okay. Then. So why did you leave AFM Records, and how did the deal with Reagan Phoenix Music come around?
Yeah, sometimes it's just time to leave a record company and like set up a new deal. And when we left AFM Records, there were actually like 3 different choices for us that were like the only places where I pictured Orden Ogan to go. First would have been, although the first idea would have been Nuclear Blast, but Nuclear Blast is basically the same company now as AFM. They're all bought by Believe Music. So that was then out of the question because of that. The next one and would have been a great choice would have been Napalm Records. And I've made very, very good experiences with these guys when we released the Angus Mac6 album last year. So they are really good in what they do, and so that would be nice. They also made a great offer. But RPM, I don't know if you're familiar with the structures. Yeah, so RPM is, for those who don't know, RPM is basically the new label that has bought Atomic Fire. And Atomic Fire is also consisting of a lot of the old Nuclear Blast people that used to be Nuclear Blast, and also the former CEO and the former label manager of AFM Records, Jochen and Niels. They also moved to RPM as the label strategist and label CEO. So it's like the best of all worlds, you know. That's like I mean, it's a new label, so at the moment we can also feel that they have to work a lot of structures and set everything up in the proper way. Of course, if you got a label like Napalm Records, Napalm, do you say Napalm or Napalm?
Napalm.
Napalm, okay. So if you work with them, of course, everything is already set and they've got all their structures going and everything. So RPM are at the moment, yeah, they still have to. Yeah, you can just feel it that at some point people are not sure if like do you have to talk to this person or to that person, you know, like for example. But they're all great people and they will figure it out in no time. And so yeah, that was the obvious choice for me. And so we're there. And I mean, you can see like one of the first signings they had was Kerry King. So yeah, they're not playing around. Like
okay. So Seeb, we're going to talk about the new album, The Order of Fear. Why the title? Obviously, it's the band's name, as you explained earlier on. Did you have any other titles for this album?
No, it is because of the story. I can give you like a short explanation of the story if you want.
Okay, yeah.
So in 2008, when we released the Vale record, it is about Alistair Vale. He's an aristocrat who rules an empire with a circle of other aristocrats. But there's a lot of bad stuff going on, like corruption and everything. And he's thinking, for the greater good, he wants to destroy the circle so that democracy or something similar has got a chance. Unfortunately, that goes super wrong and the world falls to anarchy, and he gets cursed by one of the other guys, and the curse basically says that he has to keep walking forevermore. He cannot stay at one place for a very long time. Unfortunately, everything that he leaves behind somehow dies or decays behind him. So people don't necessarily have to die, but something bad is going to happen. So he's walking all the time and leaves like a trail of destruction behind him. It's become like the personified Reaper, which is obviously not the best situation to be in. And like over all these records, he's trying to find a solution for the problem. And then he hears about an ancient nameless order that might be helpful. This is the Orden Ogan, the Order of Fear. And he meets or finds these guys in 2015 on the Ravenhead record. Ravenhead is a monastery where these Order of Fear monks reside. And yeah, after some difficult talks, he knows that the only thing that they say is you have to find the eldest of our order. They can help you. And Yeah, so he basically looks for them and through Gunmen 2017 and Final Days in 2021. And then now finally finds them. This is why the album is called The Order of Fear. Finds the eldest of those, and yeah, the eldest basically tells him the only way to break the curse is to do something that is even more evil than what was done to you. And they say you have to shed the blood of one true friend in the moonlight. And there's just one guy who follows him since Easton Hope in 2010. His name is Abel. And yeah, then you got the philosophical question about the good of many versus the good of one person. And Vale thinks about it and he's like, okay, I have to end this. And then he kills his friend in the moonlight and sheds his blood. And shortly after, the monks start to laugh and he's like, oh man, this is wrong. Something bad is going on. And yeah, then he figures out that he was actually part of a ritual that actually amplified his curse, so it's even more destructive than it was ever before. And also, they resurrected an ancient demon who is now like coming out of the earth. And so by the end of the record, his curse is stronger than ever before, and there's this ancient demon roaming the earth. So he's got some major problems to face on the next record. So we'll
All
see
right,
where
so it's
this
got a continuation on the next album.
Yeah, it's continuing all the time. So we did that like I said, like since 2008. Though I have to say, it's not all the records are like complete concept records. It's more that like a few songs on the record are always pushing the story forward. And we did that because if you have like full concept records, you make the songs slaves of the concept, and that is not a good thing. You want to have songs that can stand on their own. And the best case scenario is always if you got lyrics, for example, that you can apply to the story and to something like that. They are on two different levels, like with My Worst Enemy, that you can also like apply to the storyline with Alistair Vale, and also it has got a personal level, of course,
Okay,
with anxiety and depression. Yeah.
So this album was produced by yourself. I mean, what's your
Mm-hmm.
favorite songs on the album, and how long did it take to record?
Since we're on and off working on that in my own studio, I cannot tell you that. It's not like that we sit down like for 2 weeks and be like, okay, let's record. This is like a continuous process over a month, basically, because we start with the demos, like program drums, then put guitars on it, then put some vocals on it. And since I'm working my own studio, I can have like studio grade vocals on it like straight away. So some of the demo vocals will just stay on the final record and everything. And later on we will record the drums and stuff. So it all in all maybe 6 months or something to record it. And what was the question?
Yeah, and then what's your favorite songs from the album? Do you have any favorite songs?
I think I really love them all. They all turned out like really really well. I love My Worst Enemy. This is why we put it out as the first single. Though it is a ballad, a lot of people were like, really? Do you want to release a ballad as the first song? Yes, because it's a great song, and now I think it's already over 1 million views, so people seem to really like it. I really like the two singles we put out so far, The Order of Fear and Moonfire. Um, I really love Kings of the Underworld. That will be coming as with the release. The fourth single will be Conquest. This was funny as well, because when we were working on the demo for Conquest, I was thinking, this is not good enough. This will never work. And the other people in my band, my other guys, were like, you really have to produce it fully and put vocals in it and just work on it and please do it. And I was like, no, it's a waste of time. And they were like, no, do it, do it, do it. And so I was working on the song, and yeah, when we were finished with the song, I was like, okay, maybe this should be the fourth single. So it's like one of the best songs on the record. It's crazy how it goes sometimes. It really you cannot estimate it when you're like still in the writing phase. You will have to listen to it in the final version to be really able to judge it if it works or not.
Right then. So how do you see this new album as a progression from your previous albums?
I mean, there's always the progression, because there's always like sometimes it's a little bit more of orchestral stuff. Sometimes you get a little bit more of like folk elements in it or something. Like on Final Days, because of the concept, we put some dubstep sounds in there and like some sci-fi sounds and stuff. But this was more to to illustrate the concept, like the overall theme of the record. With the Order of Fear, we wanted to do a record that is more of a heavy metal record, if that makes sense. Like, put away a lot of the orchestrations, and by that also make it harder and more straightforward. And I really think it turned out really great, and think this is the way Orden Ogan is supposed to sound like. So I do think that the next record will sound like, not like a copy of this one, but somewhat similar, like more guitar orientated, and more heavy metal and harder than the records before.
Okay, then. So when do we expect to see the band touring?
So we just have been on tour in April with our friends in Feuerschwanz. We'll have a lot of, especially European festivals. Unfortunately, not Bloodstock this year. But a lot of European festivals play Hellfest in France, Sweden Rock, Metal Fest in the Czech Republic, Rock Hard, Summer Breeze in Germany. So there's a lot of stuff, Z Live in Spain, a lot of stuff going on this summer. So we're basically living in the van and airports like all the time. Some release shows. We will be on another European run in the end of this year, also with Feuerschwanz. And then next year there will be a lot of other stuff, but I cannot tell you about that yet. But we're thinking of doing at least 2 shows in the UK this year, but we're still working on it.
Right,
Could be that it is also 1 week or something, like a few more shows, but it will be at least something like London and Manchester or something.
Okay, then. Seeb, I'd like to thank you for doing this interview. Have a nice day. Do you have anything to say to the people watching this on YouTube?
No, well, if I get asked this question, I will always say the same thing, and this is like, thank you. Thanks for checking out our music. Thanks for buying our CDs. Thanks for coming to the shows. People don't even realize that they are the people who make this all possible for all the bands, not even for us, just for all the bands. Because if it wasn't for the fans who buy the CDs and tickets and come to shows and stream the music, even if people complain a lot, but streaming these days is a huge part as well, we all wouldn't be able to make a living out of it, like to do what we do. So yeah, the only thing I always want to say is thanks for supporting the band.
Thank you, Seeb. Have a fantastic day. Thank you, my friend.
But send me the link once it's online. You can
I will definitely.
Okay.
I will do. Thank you, Seeb. Have a nice day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Cheers.